G'day guys, welcome to PBHQ Live. This is episode number 301. I'm Dwayne Nichols. I'm here in Wagga with all of your paintball news from a big weekend. And if I can ask a favour whilst I'm starting the show here, anyone currently Ashes other screen, hit me up to date because I'm not watching it at the moment. I'm a little preoccupied doing this, but I'd love to see Australia get a couple of wickets in this session to see how that goes on. Brad Short is joining in. John Abello is in. Susan is in. Brent Mitchell, Tom Boyd, Michael Namoski, Jordan Bradshaw, all joining in. And if you can please hit the share button too. There was, I believe, around 190 people playing Total War over the weekend. And I've got the highlights video from that event. Well, not the full highlights video, but I've got about a minute 10 or a minute 15 highlights video with some pretty epic drone shots from Adam Connolly from Action Paintball Games, from Total War, that I'll be showing later in the show. And I hope that everyone can tune in to check it out. We'll also be talking about the NXL Mid-Atlantic major event shortly. And there's a lot to go over, both in the Pro Division as well as the Semi-Pro Division. So the Manawatu Titans from New Zealand made their way over to compete again, and I've got a bit of a wrap up of how their event played out. Billy Colias is in, Esteban is in, Wade Graham is in. Thank you everybody for joining in tonight's show. Make sure to, I got a bunch of subs last week randomly. I guess there's still people that watch that don't sub to the channel, so make sure you subscribe, hit the thumbs up, all of those good things. Root started out batting left-handed instead of right. Oh man, why am I missing this? I love a paintball, I suppose. I've got heaps to come up tonight though, so hang around with me. Paintballshop.com over the next, today is the 19th of June, so over the next little while, over the next 11 days, their end of financial year sale will be happening, and I'm told that there's a whole bunch of deals that will be coming up in that time. The first one of which that they're releasing here on the show is that they're doing 20% off all die DSR Plus, die M3 Plus, and DLS markers. So if you want to go up and pick up a die marker for 20% off, you can do that in their end of financial year sale at the moment. So of the pick of the bunch, I'm not really familiar with the DLS. Obviously, it's a pretty unique marker, and there's very limited numbers of those. So that is a good deal, probably as good as you're going to find on a DLS. But the DSR Plus, for my money, after shooting an M3 and a DSR going back a couple of years ago, I thought the DSR was the better of the two. It is also the cheaper of the two if you compare them side by side. It's missing a couple of things like the enormous screen that the M3 Plus comes with, but the DSR would be my pick of the two. They're typically around 1,700 Australian dollars, give or take. They're down to 1,400 Australian dollars now, so pretty good price on a handy bit of gear. And even on the M3, which whilst it's not my cup of tea, a lot of people do like, I think they're like $2,800 or something brand new. 20% off that, you're getting down into the $2,300 range, $2,400 range. Big savings to be had if you're looking to pick up a die marker in the end of financial year sale. And if you don't already follow the social media accounts of paintballshop.com, you should probably do that because there'll be a lot more deals coming out in the next 2 weeks. James Rich just joining in at the moment as well. Thanks for checking out the show, mate. So, yeah, a bunch of deals to be coming in the next couple of weeks. A good time to be buying something. And any money you spend now, hopefully in a couple of weeks' time, you'll get your tax return back, replenish that money, and you won't even notice. It'll be essentially you're getting it for free. That's what I'm going to be saying. That's the salesman in. So, yeah, paintballshop.com with a big end of financial year sale. And as part of that, and this has been running for a couple of weeks now, Gladiator are still doing sales on the Ultralight 98s. So they're trying to clear out their Ultralight 98 stock. They've got too much of it and they want to sell them. So 15% off Ultralight 98s, particularly the people that played Total War over the weekend. This is right up your alley. If you want a big tank to get through a big game, well, the Ultralight 98 is the one for you. Not only is it a great tank that you can run on your gun, but is almost the perfect size to be running as a tank for a remote line to your pod pack, if that is the way that you do things. Hopefully everything runs smoothly tonight too. I am running tonight's show. I have from about Wednesday of last week a brand new PC, and everything was imaged over directly from the previous one. But there has been a few little quirks that I've found, and about 30 seconds or a minute before I went live, I realized that my microphone, for example, hadn't come through to this. So hopefully everything's running sweet at the moment. Brent saying you need a pack to hold 30 pods. Tom saying I needed that on the weekend. Well, Tom, it's too late for the weekend just gone, obviously, but it's not too late for the next one. So get in there and pick one of those up. Wade's saying that he's got one. So yeah, well worth it. Pick one up if you can. If you're playing Total War and you're going to be out there for those long stints, it's a real good buy. So let's talk about the Mid-Atlantic Major, the NXL Pro weekend that has just happened over the weekend gone by. Tampa Bay Damage getting their first win for the year. Well, the first win for anybody other than Dynasty this year. Dynasty remain top of the season standings, getting third place on the weekend. There's a lot of things that I've got to sort of cover off on here, and I should have made notes, but I didn't. The final went to overtime. The overtime point expired on time and went to 1v1s, and Jacob Edwards, as he has done as recently as last year, won a 1v1 to win an event for his team. The man is the king of the 1v1 at the moment. He won against Impact last year. He's won against Tom Guest this time around. I've seen a lot of people saying that TJ Dennis should have been out there. To just touch on that as the rule and the way that that works out, I would rather see if you play a 5-minute overtime point and there's no result, I think the following overtime point should be 5v5 and should go for as long as it takes. We play prelims as a team, you play the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and the finals as a team, you play the overtime point as a team, and then you put the event standings, the prize money, the glory, the heartbreak, everything goes on to one player from each team. And if you've done 1v1s at training, I'm sure most of you, if you do them regularly enough, you've probably played one where you get a half step off the gate and catch one to the loader or to the side of the mask, or just an unlucky one. Now, that didn't happen in this case. The 1v1 was played out, but finals, and I guess you can say it's exciting for the fans in attendance. Perhaps it's exciting for the people watching on Go Sports, but a team game coming down to an individual thing, it's not a huge fan of it. Billy Kalaya saying was happy to see someone else win other than Dynasty. Mike saying lots of other deals coming out tomorrow. Yeah, and so on Dynasty, just to touch on that, in their semi-final game, I seen that it went to overtime too. And now, keep in mind, I didn't watch this, but the Paintball Nerd on Instagram is a great account to follow. And they sort of did a bunch of interviews and recaps throughout the course of the weekend. In that match, the overtime point, Ryan Greenspan ran out of air early in the point. So I don't know if there was a leak in his tank or if he didn't fill it up between the game and the overtime point. I'm not sure what happened there. And not only that, but he said his loader went into programming mode during that match as well. So it wasn't feeding whilst he was trying to play. And then he ran out of air, of all things. Ryan Greenspan is a man of immense talent and can do just about anything on a paintball field, but without a gun, man, that makes it very difficult. So pretty crazy story to come out there. I don't really know what to follow up on that one. Yeah, it's really unfortunate to have a gun go down, and you can obviously tell their guns are reliable. They've won like 5 of the last 6 events. It is not an issue that they're encountering often, but everyone at some point is going to have a gun or a loader go down, and the overtime point of a semi-final is just not the time for that to happen. Yeah, got knocked out by X Factor, who went on to lose against Tampa Bay Damage. I will bring up just quickly, whilst I've got it here. So this is the results from the weekend. Damage winning, X Factor, Dynasty, Heat, Extreme, NYX were undefeated through the prelims. If I just jump over here and go to the scores, there we go, scores. So Dynasty undefeated in the prelims. Tampa Bay Damage, who eventually won the event, they actually lost to NRG Elite and to Dynasty in the prelims. And I wanted to point out, I love the point spread system that the NXL uses, as opposed to counting bodies, which is common at like the Super Sevens, for example. The point spread is a way better way to do it. So Damage, for example, who went 2 and 2, 2 green, 2 red, and Level, who went 2 green, 2 red. It comes down to the margin that you win your match by. So winning by 1 point, which a lot of teams, if you're up in an event at the Super Sevens, winning by 1 point is the same as winning by 4 points. It doesn't encourage teams to go out and beat a team into the ground, whilst that still happens sometimes. So Damage made finals. They got 7th overall to make finals because their 2 wins were significant wins and their losses were tight losses. On the flip side, Level win by 1 point here, but lose by 5 and lose by 6. So it encourages teams to keep playing throughout the entirety of the match. You can't sit back and play defensive if you've got a 2-point lead. That's a great example of why I like it. Hurricanes won all 4, really impressive. The ML Kings go out and beat Heat, and Heat also lost to the Hurricanes, which is interesting. And then they go on to do on Sunday, they go on to do good things. And then scrolling down here, NYX sweep the table, including beating Impact. So those guys are just balling out this year. Great result for those guys. And AC Diesel finally made Sunday and had a good showing, only losing to the Russians, which is unusual because the Russians had another terrible event if you scroll down here. So yeah, really interesting. And the thumbnail for the show did say that Damage dominated the event, and that's probably a little bit misleading. They went 2 and 2, and then if you jump into the quarterfinals, they won 3-1 here. Semifinals, they win 3-2 over Heat, so just scraping into the final. And then in the final, they win, going down into a 1v1. So Tampa Bay Damage did things the hard way to get to the final, and then to eventually win. If I jump over to the season rankings to wrap up where we're at after 3 events, so Dynasty, 2 firsts and a third, they are still sitting pretty up top. X Factor and Damage are close by. Even Heat, after a couple of consistent results, are close by. The interesting ones, the Latin Saints, I don't think that surprises anybody. They're going to get relegated this year, and you won't see them in the Pro Division next year. Sorry, I'll scroll down so you can see that. But the Russians, 19th, 11th, 15th, so unlike them. And they've still got a lot of talent out there. Ironmen, a long-time powerhouse. They're terrible this year. Austin Notorious, the new pro team, with Haris Hussein jumping over, formerly of NYX and briefly of the Russian Legion, they got 10th place after making it to Sunday this event. So, yeah, really interesting to check this out. ML Kings, they've got a good couple of results at every event, but just haven't been able to go on with it. So I thought that I would use that to show everybody what's been happening in the NXL Pro Division. That's a bit of a wrap up. I think the Hurricanes are probably looking quite good this year too, as a bit of a surprise. And to talk back on the semi-pro division, the Manawatu Titans, so the New Zealand-based team with players such as Brandon Shaw and other US-based players, they went out and went 1-3 in their prelims. They won 1 of 2 games on Friday, but they unfortunately dropped both of their Saturday games, meaning that they missed the cut to play on Sunday in the semi-pro division. So they've been at all 3 events and they have missed the cut on all 3 times. 12 teams went through in semi-pro division, but they finished 16th. And in fact, if I go over here, I can bring you back to this graphic real quick, and I'll use this little handy drop down here on the semi-pro division. So Paintball Fit, that's essentially AC Dallas, I guess, or has the makings of the AC Dallas. Blast Camp, they've won all 3 events in this division. They will likely be the team that replaces the Latin Saints in next year. But if we scroll down here, you will see the Manawatu Titans got off to a good start. Great win here. Tom Hopkins, I watched this game. The semi-pro games were all on YouTube for free if you want to go and watch them. Tom Hopkins, great game during that one. And then they lost out to Colorado Blitz, who are one of the top teams also in the semi-pro division, doing really good things. In this game against Nasty, they led this game and then let it slip to lose 3-2. And they were tied 2-2 against the Texas Cyclone as well, which again is up on YouTube and you can go and watch that. Spoke with Dave Hopkins this morning. He said they sort of had control, or they felt like they had control of a couple of those games and just let them slip. And yeah, so you see them finishing 16th with 1-3. If this game goes the other way and they get the win there, almost certainly they would have been finding themselves going through, because their losses were close losses and their win was a big one. So with that scoring system that I was describing before, it would have almost certainly seen them go through to Sunday. They've got 2 events left for the year, 2 more chances to make Sunday. Hopefully the Manawatu Titans can do that and make their way through. But yeah, it almost looks Paintball Fit and Blast Camp have played in the finals against each other, I think on all 3 occasions in the semi-pro division. And Blast Camp are going to be going through stage. It seems like it's pretty much a given. Alex Kidd saying, what's going on with Heat? Well, let me just jump back over to the season rankings. I think Heat is still 4th overall. Their worst result for the year is a 6th. They've had a 6th, a 2nd, a 4th. I mean, yeah, they're not winning events, but not easy to win events at the Pro Division. Dynasty are making it look easy. Damage are up there. X Factor have been good this year. But yeah, it's just not easy to do. But out of 3 events, to have a 2nd, 4th, and a 6th, I think Heat are doing all right. I wouldn't be too disappointed if I was them. Perhaps Sarge is. I know their roster is an all-star roster. They expect to be playing deep into Sunday, and they have been. Yeah, you're going to see them towards the top end of the table at the end of the season. That's where they belong. That's where their roster will get them. But yeah, it's just tough to win events. So kind of hard done by, I guess, if the fans of Heat are saying, like, what's going on? I think they're doing all right. Results from Total War, the other event to talk about from the weekend back here in Australia. Total War, and I have no idea. Someone can tell me. I'm sure someone knows who our Banana Man in outfit. Ryan Wallace in this photo by John Abello. I really like this photo. There was a couple of other photos that I seen floating about of this guy in action, but it was sort of far away. Didn't really highlight the banana suit as best. And I said over 170 players there. That was actually over 190. It's the biggest Total War since they've moved to the Yarramundi venue with their new battlefield. And 619 to 617 points. Super close. That's as close as I can remember a Total War in years. And when you're playing the style of games that they were playing, yes, there's a winner and a loser there, but essentially it's a draw. I mean, that's as close as you're going to see. And with that many people out on the field, the counting of scoring is an incredibly difficult job. Apparently the guys at Action were ran off their feet for the entire event. They had the new red fill paint. If you were there at the event, let me know what you thought of the war paint for the event. They've done red paint going back a few years ago. The Berserk paint a long time back had red fill, which from batch to batch had good and bad reviews. Hopefully it was all good over the weekend. And I've been speaking with a few paintball field owners in the last couple of weeks, and a few fields are out there struggling. So yeah, 190 players out there at Yarramundi on the weekend at Total War. Hopefully that war paint was good, and hopefully everybody bought heaps of it. They had a massive, massive weekend at Action Paintball Yarramundi, and everyone caught the bug to go back for some more. As part of that, you're going to see the full highlights video tomorrow, Adam Connolly tells me, about 2 minutes long, expecting. Michael Wobry saying a rigged event. Yeah, you're going to see the 2-minute full video tomorrow, but you're going to see a highlights video, about 1:15 here right now. Check out some of the drone shots, some of the pyro and the explosions. Unreal. It looks so much fun. So check out the video, and shout out to Adam and the guys for the footage and getting this together so quickly. Yeah, man, how cool is that? I think of all the little videos after these events, that's one of the better ones I've seen. So many explosions. It looks so cool. If you're in Sydney and you play paintball and you've got an action pass, I think it's like $32 to enter. Paint from like 90. Oh, I don't know this event. I haven't asked. But typically paint is like $90 for a box for the players that do have those action passes. So you're looking at $120-ish to go out and play a full day's paintball across some big scenarios with all the explosions, all that cool stuff. For that type of money, there's nothing really quite like that. Well, there's nothing like it, just period, anywhere else in Australia. And that's why they do attract players from interstate to go to these games, as well as I think Adam Connolly said around they had like a 40% increase on rental players playing this one. And when a rental player goes and plays an event like that and they line up alongside someone who's shooting a Lux or a CS3 or someone who's got a rotor and they're ripping at 15 balls per second, or they've got a sweet mask, or whatever the case might be, if they don't catch the bug for paintball on a day like that, they just never will. So really, really cool. Yeah, Mike saying Warpaint was $90 for the action pass, $100 for everyone else. So yeah, action pass holders, you're paying $90 for paint, $32 for entry, $122 playing paintball all day. And I think you even shouted lunch too, is that right? So yeah, really, really cool. Great value for money for a day out playing paintball up there at Action Paintball Yarramundi. And then a great video like that too. You're going to see the full version tomorrow. Hopefully you're featured in it if you were there playing. And hopefully the new battlefield was well received as well. They opened up a new section of the field for the first time, or a new field for the first time at the event. Wade saying, honestly, the paint was great, field was amazing, and enjoyed it all day. Unreal. That's what we like to hear. Hopefully that is like that all the time. And apparently people from South Australia, Queensland, Victoria, Parks, Dubbo, and all over New South Wales. Awesome. Awesome. And I don't know when the next one is off the top of my head. I do have the PBHQ paintball calendar, and I could check that. But you could also check that and find out, or Mike may know, the next Total War hopefully builds on top of that. And at some point, they're going to have to cap the numbers. So make sure you register early and get out there and play it. Tom Boyd said the Warpaint shot really well. Onions on top or bottom. Come on, mate. Just because Bunnings did it that one time. And Mike is giving himself credit for being the drone pilot. Shout out to Mike for doing that. Apparently that drone came back absolutely covered in paint too across the course of the weekend. So yeah, and Billy saying they action put on the lunch thanks to Mike and John and Adam. Unreal. Great. It sounds like perfect all the way around. Let's wrap up tonight's episode. I don't have any events to preview for this coming week. The event at the Brisbane at Valhalla Paintball. I'm actually wearing a Valhalla hoodie at the moment. Fresh here in Wagga. The event for this weekend has been cancelled. They'll be looking into 3-man events in the future rather than 5-man. So more details on that as I get them. But birthdays, a bunch of birthdays this week. So Michael, Trent, Stu, Trower, Christy, Shane, Dave, and Zach. And I love when I get to use a photo by Christy of someone else in her birthday week. So a couple of little things here. Gladiator Tank, point that out. Christy took the photo of Dave Shoulders, and I chose this particular photo because Dave was shooting my gun. I don't know why he had his barrel on my gun, but I knew that this photo existed of Dave shooting my gun, and I wanted to use it on the show tonight. And it just happened to be by Christy, so both celebrating birthdays this week. So happy birthday to everyone on that list. And that's everything I've got for tonight. Just wanted to do a quick shout out. Updated this down here for the prize packs. And I've got one, if I out of the way here. Oh man, I'm going to make a mess here instead. Hold on. Here. So let's reach back. The PBHQ barrel sock, these ones, they're the Exalt style ones. So 5 people will win one of these, as well as these PBHQ hats. So 5 people will win the pair of those, and that will be drawn at the beginning of July on the first show in July. I think it's like the 3rd of July. If you are already a patron, thank you. Your support is very important to the upkeep of this show. If you're not already a patron, you can go over to patreon.com/PBHQ and you can sign up. You can either sign up monthly or annually to support the show and keep this thing alive, and also win good prizes. So thank you to everybody for checking out tonight's show. If you will join me again next Monday, we'll have a big preview for a massive July. There's a weekend in July. I think it's like July 15 and 16 or 16 and 17. There's like 6 events on across New South Wales, Victoria, Malaysia, maybe New Zealand. Big month of paintball coming up, and we'll be talking about it all here on PBHQ as the month rolls on. So make sure you join me again next Monday. Until then, have a great week. Bye.